Raul hit me up and said, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. What can the expectations be for the Aggies year one under Mike Elko? So quickly, let me tell you what the expectations are in the odds market. So our buddies over at FanDuel, they've already got all the numbers on Texas A&M. So in the SEC, they have the 8th best odds to win the conference title. Their over-under win total is 8.5, and they've got the 15th best odds to win the national championship. So not bad, not in the lead pack, but certainly a contender. If you think about that for a second, we're going to put 12 teams in the playoff this year. At least that's what they tell me. So if you got odds in the teens, like you're a contender. FanDuel views Texas A&M as a playoff contender right now. Translation. So I think they could be the surprise team of the SEC is my question. I'm trying to be very careful with A&M. Number one, because I've got a reputation of overrating them, which is accurate. That is accurate. And it's the model's fault. Like, to be very clear, I take absolutely no responsibility for anything that goes wrong on this show. I take credit. The model takes the blame. And sometimes Jesse when he's in town and not at his bachelor party. So that's just the dynamic that we agreed on here. And as you can see, there's no one at the table that disagrees with me. Not a single voice at this table has ever disagreed with me on that. So I do have a little history of maybe slightly inflating A&M on here, but the only reason is because Jimbo underachieved. So I got certain things that I blindly buy into. A&M's had them, and Jimbo maybe I shouldn't have bought into as much because he kind of ankle-weighted the program a little bit. Well, he's gone. Is Mike Elko the answer? Mike Elko, early returns out there, as expected, are really good. Mike Elko, I think, is a player that locker room will fight for and go over the cliff for a little more readily than they did Jimbo. And I'm not saying they didn't have fight. I'm saying they'll have more of it from Mike Elko. I think there'll be more of a connectivity between Elko and his players. That's very evident from people who were on the ground out there early on. It's a top 10 talent roster this year. They did really good in the portal. He hired pretty well. I got him as a solid Tier 2 staff in the SEC right now, and plenty of room to rise. And you know they play Notre Dame week 1. So we've seen this before where a program kind of believes in itself, but then does something early in the year, week 1, week 2, week 3, and all of a sudden they even surprise themselves a little bit by how good they looked. Well, Notre Dame's going to head down to College Station for a week 1 game, and if you land one on their jaw and you knock them off, and A&M's a 1.5-point favorite in the game, so it's not some upset if you do it, well, then you're kind of off to the races a little bit. And listen to this now. A&M does not play Bama this year. They do not play Georgia. They get LSU at home with LSU on a back-to-back road stretch. They get Texas at home to end the year. There's a world here where if Connor Wigman's the real deal at quarterback and Elko brought in the right combination to surround him and support him, that offensive line gets figured out, which is probably the biggest question they have right now. Man, like A&M could be a player this year. I'm trying. You can tell. I'm trying. I'm trying not to convince myself in March to go place irresponsible wagers on A&M futures, but man, I may just do it when we end the show. Because I do think that if I'm circling some teams that are dark horse, I'm doing it. I knew I was going to do it. If I'm just saying in spring, reserving the right to redact this at any time, if I were circling some teams that had dark horse potential, that'd be one of them. I know you got to go through a mountain that is Georgia if you're going to dark horse your way to an SEC title. I know that. So it's tough. Like if they played in the Big 12, it'd be different because there's no insurmountable hurdle out there. But you don't have to win the SEC to make the playoff. So two things could be true there. I think they're a dark horse playoff contender. That's what I think they could be under Mike Elko. That's all. Could. You heard me, Colin. Could be. They could also go 500. Could be. Yes, thank you.